Hi, and thanks for logging on to the Daily DVAR Halacha. And here's a brand new halacha for you, and it's for Tuesday, the 19th day of June, and the 6th day of Sivan. Here we go. Today I'm going to start with a funny question for you. We're on summertime halachas here and summertime brachas. So, ices, Italian ices, you scrape them out of a cup and eat them kind of, a little bit at a time. We're going to have the halacha question as to whether ices are treated as a food or a liquid. Now, it might sound funny to you. Who cares? I'm just eating them. They're delicious. Why do you care if they're a food or a liquid? And it makes a big difference, and I'll explain to you why. Here goes. When you make a bracha achrona on a food or a liquid, you make a bracha after you finish eating something like borei nefashos, after a drink or after a piece of meat. You make the borei nefashos, the after bracha, because you've completed an eating. But we only call it like you've completed eating something when you've eaten it in its normal scope of time. Then if you eat that thing within its normal time frame, then you make a borei nefashos at the end of it. So drinks, you drink them down much more quickly than you eat down food. Drinks just go down your throat faster, and food goes down more slowly. So in order to make a bracha after you take a drink, you need to have that required amount of drink. Let's say it's about a couple ounces, 3-4 ounces. You need to make that 3 or 4 ounce drink. You need to make that within about a minute in order to qualify for a borei nefashos at the end of that drink. But in order to qualify for a borei nefashos at the end of eating a piece of meat, which is food, then you have about 3 or 4 minutes to finish eating that, and then you would make a borei nefashos at the end of that. Now, you see, it makes a big difference whether ices are considered a food or a liquid. Because if they're considered a food, then you would make a borei nefashos after them, even if you've eaten them in 4 minutes. If they're a liquid, you're only going to make a borei nefashos after them, if you got them down within a minute. And to finish a little cup of Italian ices in a minute is a little bit hard to do. Now you see why it makes such a difference? If Italian ices are treated as a liquid, then you're probably never going to make a borei nefashos after them, because you can't eat them in a minute. But if they're considered a food, then you will make a borei nefashos after them, because you can finish them in about 3 or 4 minutes, which is a requisite amount of time for a borei nefashos for food. See? It makes a big difference whether Italian ices are food or liquid. Now, unfortunately, the unfortunate news is that from the rabbis, it's not 100% clear whether to treat Italian ices like a liquid or food. Therefore, as we approach summation here of this complicated halacha, the safest thing to say is, if you're ever having Italian ices and you want to make a borei nefashos after the Italian ices, maybe try to eat some other food with them that gets a borei nefashos. The borei nefashos will safely cover let's just say the 3 marshmallows you ate with them, or I don't know, whatever your other food was that you ate with the Italian ices. And then you could say, it took me 3 or 4 minutes, and during those 3 or 4 minutes I had my requisite amount of other borei nefashos. That borei nefashos will cover for my Italian ices too, and then I'm all fine. But if you're eating Italian ices just on their own, they might be a liquid, and it took you 4 minutes to eat them. So it got spread out over too much time. So in short, I hope I haven't confused you. Whenever you eat something like Italian ices, which is possibly called a liquid, and it takes you a long time to get that liquid down, then the borei nefashos afterwards is questionable, whether it's needed, and therefore it'd be best to eat along with it some other borei nefashos food. Same thing is going to happen to those of you who lick your ice cream very slowly. Ice cream is considered a food, so you do have 3 or 4 minutes to finish your ice cream. But if you lick and lick and lick at your ice cream and it takes you 10 minutes to finish your requisite amount of ice cream because you lick at your cone very slowly, you might not be able to make a borei nefashos after that ice cream, unless you eat some other borei nefashos type of food with them. I hope I haven't confused you. If I have, discuss this with someone who knows all about this, like your rabbi, and say, what's the deal with borei nefashos and Italian ices, and you can get further explanation. I just started you off on this little bit of complicated topic. Thanks for logging on. Log on again tomorrow for more. Bye-bye.